So, I think my favorite thing about this last season of episodes is going to be the message I'm going to get from Mike before each recording. And the message I got right before this recording is, we have a lot to talk about.
Yes.
Go ahead, Mike.
Episode 18. Tell me the secrets of this world. After the anti-spiral's first attack and Nia's astonishing announcement, Simone looks desperately for her, while Rossiu finally completes his secret project. Where do you want to begin?
Remember the one thing I told you he's been working on that I thought was going to come up in this episode and it came up in the first 10 seconds? Lord Genome's head is in a jar! Remember when I said you didn't see his body?
You know what? Technically, he's not alive.
Technically, no.
His memories, everything he knows about the spirals and the anti-spirals, that's alive. But no, he's ahead. He is Mecha Frieza.
Yeah. Or, for anyone who's played God of War, he's literally Mimir. In this instance, literally, because he's dead the second that thing disconnects. He's not even there.
Mm-hmm.
But, so, hey, Mike, remember during the last recording, which for us was about a half an hour ago, remember when you asked me if Rossiu was being painted as the villain?
I still stand by that for something we'll get to at the end.
Yep.
But to be fair, it does genuinely seem like, or does it, that he has the, like, it seems like he has the interest of the people in mind, but no pun intended, on a very surface level.
Yeah, it's like I cannot go back to how the entire theme of this season is humanity does not know what to do with the civilization at all. The second shit goes bad, they're blaming the first person they can.
Typical.
Yeah,
when everything goes your way, yay, government's great. But the second things go south, it's all out war.
Yep. And I think we got levity for the first 2 minutes in this episode with Nia's voicemail, and that was about it.
And a little bit of stuff in the control room.
Oh yeah, that is true with them answering the telephones. But Keaton, before we go on, because there's a lot we have to talk about, Keaton takes a hard switch from one of the characters that pissed you off the most in the first season because of how he acted to being the one going, what the hell is wrong with all of you? He's doing his best, damn it.
I apologize to Keaton for all the bad words I've said about him.
He quickly becomes the, come on, he doesn't got his big brother anymore, but damn it, I'm going to stick up for him. Also, we did not talk about something in the last episode.
Oh.
A very big something. Right there. Yoko isn't there. We never mentioned that. Yoko just left.
Would it be a spoiler if I asked if that was actually the last time we saw her?
If you watch the intro, then that answers your own question. Spoiler, you do see her again. But,
okay.
I mean, you weren't getting through the rest of this show without seeing Yoko again. But I will tell you, the most shocking thing, and one of the two most shocking things in this entire show, is what Yoko is doing while this is away. And I could have been given a billion guesses and I never would have gotten it right.
Oh.
And it's nothing incredibly ridiculous. I was just like, really? Okay, sure, she's happy, whatever. But yeah, we have some things to talk about. In that last speech, in the last episode of season 1, Lord Genome was quite confidently talking to Simone, Rossiu, and Nia about how he is the savior of humanity. And I had to bite my lip so damn hard while talking about this. When it's like, every villain thinks they're the right guy, right? Was he even technically a villain?
That is a very good question.
That's one of the things this show does so well. After a while, you have to be like, who the hell's the villain in this show? Like, eventually,
this is what I was talking about when I said a sliding scale of morality.
Yes. Oh, this is one of the best plot twists in a show in like ever. This is one of the
and this is like a genuine like this is one of those like it's not just a twist like, oh, it was me the whole time. No, this is like this literally changes everything you've known about the show.
Exactly. All the conversations he's had with all of his generals and shit like that, when they start talking about Lagann, where they're like, there's this one really weird mech that they have, this weird gunman that can do all these cool things. And then Guam is trying to talk like he knows what the hell he's talking about. And Genome just looks at him and he goes, you speak about something that you could not quite possibly understand. That whole time he knew what he was. It's like, oh, it's so cool. You got so much. An entire 15 episodes of a show is a different show in a 10-minute conversation with one character.
Yeah, like now this is episode 18, and this is as big of a rug pull twist as a show that Cameron and I talked about on our fall anime preview called Talentless Nana. I'm not gonna spoil the twist, but like the level of everything you know is a lie from this episode, you get in episode 1 of Talentless Nana.
Oh, really? Holy shit! Holy crap!
Yeah, when if you ever get around to it, you'll have to let me know how you feel about that. But,
is it a single? How many episodes is it?
Right
now,
still
currently going.
It's ongoing, but I think the season will only be like 12 or 13 episodes,
and then it'll be
done. Yeah.
Okay, as soon as it's done, then I'll watch through it because that is quite the claim, and I trust you in your justifications from the years of me knowing you. Holy shit! Okay, all right, yeah, that one is on the list. Okay, holy shit! But yeah, and the way they also deliver this ever since I saw it, this was the first big everything you know is a lie, in my opinion, that I saw, and when I was like 18. Like, there's been other ones, but this is the first one where it really like hit me. I think this is if a show can pull it off correctly, I think this is my favorite version of a plot twist ever.
I can see why, especially everything that Nia says to Simone.
Yeah, and the fact that they have Nia talking to Simone and Genome talking to Rossiu at the same time, and then they alternate.
It's perfect editing.
Oh, it's so good. Oh, man. But yeah, we need to dig into what they all talked about. I believe it got mentioned in episode 17, but they mention a thing called the Spiral Nemesis. I will answer questions if you have them, because this is the thing. This is not what Genome fought against. Genome fought against the anti-spirals to stop the spiral nemesis from becoming a problem.
Okay. Oh, okay. So basically, what we have seen in what we've designated season 1,
Yes.
we think like humanity has been oppressed by the Spiral King.
Yes.
And that we're kind of like using their weapon against them because we're all like freedom.
Yep.
When in reality, those gunmen have been buried underground for humanity's protection, so that they are safe from the anti-spirals.
Exactly. Because of just how this thing takes a hard swing into evolution in religion in the last half. Like, outside of the episode in Odd-Eye Village, like, it really isn't there. Like, you get the 7th day, you get creation, and then we start just going right off that into straight up evolution. And it's really weird talking about this because I'm a religious person, but like how the show handles this, I absolutely love it because I can't get into it. But like I've stated many times how they use a drill as a metaphor for like making your way through life, busting through your problems, and doing many other things like that. They don't use evolution in the way it's meant.
Interesting.
They use evolution as in, like, the way you're going to hear, like, you're going to obviously hear it more from the anti-spirals, but how it carries on is it's not like evolution of a species. Obviously, they talk about it because they say how spiral beings always have to push forward. They can't be lax. And we use it to suppress because you would always expand if anything with spiral power got out, because it's just an unstoppable force. That's why I always brought up how short of a time it took them to overthrow them once they got the tools, because that's the power of spiral energy that you can get through all this stuff. And they use evolution as like us expanding, not an evolution. It's you as a person. And it really, I cannot fucking explain how much I love this show uses metaphors for the personal issues that I've had throughout my life. And we'll get more into it, but their use of the word evolution is not in the classical way that like evolution versus creationism is. It's presented that way, but they don't mean it that way. It's hard to explain, and we'll see it later, but they're going to use the word evolution a lot going forward. It's the new "who the hell do you think I am" from Kamina. You're going to hear the word evolution quite a bit. You could create a drinking game in the amount of times you hear evolution in these past like 12 episodes. It's kind of nuts. But
I'll keep that in mind.
Okay, but
actually, that leads to a question of why specifically 7 years? Like, is that sort of like a play on, you know?
I want to say it's the on the 7th day he rested kind of thing, like because they used it when Teplin fell. They're like, and on the 7th day, Teplin fell, so everything was as it was. And then again, we get 7 years again, and this new creation is done, so he rests. And then, yeah, for anyone who's read the Bible, when you get to creationism and the 7 days are done,
then there's the rest.
Exactly.
and then there's Genesis.
There's Genesis, because people screw up and bad things happen. And like you get to actually see that Genome fought against the anti-spirals along with every other anti-spiral race, and they got their asses handed to them. To the point of where they got self-destruct devices put around their orbits so that they couldn't, in case they got too much, you lost your chance, you're done. There's not much bigger of an ass kicking than you lose, bruh. Listen to me, or you don't get to live anymore.
Like, that's harsh.
Like, I try to explain this to people that have not watched it. I'm just like, it starts off as such a cheery show.
and then it gets deep.
Yeah. I've talked a lot. Go ahead. Go ahead. For what I haven't said, but yeah.
Man, like one of the hardest things to talk about this episode is the fact that like at least half of it is a giant exposition dump, a necessary one, but like it's a necessary information dump, but an information dump nonetheless.
Yes.
So we're like, this review is probably going to be our most dry because we're trying to unpack everything that we've learned about the gunman, about the spiral power.
Yep.
And we're also kind of focusing on the reaction, but like from Team Gurren, especially Kitan and who's the other guy?
Well, the guy who was with Kitan is Dayaka, and then Ross was the guy who was with him. Yeah. Also, we did get a slight moment of levity. What the hell? Have I seen this guy before? Like, you don't remember Lord Genome?
I kind of love that as a running gag of like characters that we've seen only a few episodes ago. They're like, who are you?
Who are you again? Am I supposed to remember this guy? Oh yeah. But and then the last bit of the big dialogue dump that we go to, and season 2 might as well just be called Simone Cannot Catch a Break. Nia is literally the messenger of hell.
Poor Simone.
Like, they went so far into their we need to keep track of people that they hid, I want to say, there's a technical code name for this. Like, in hypnotized people, they have like a kill switch, kind of like there's a term for the term that could be used. We're like Bucky. Like, they just go rabid when oh my gosh, what's his name? When Civil War. Zola. When he mentions the thing and then Bucky goes full Winter Soldier. There's a technical term for it. But I can't think of what the heck trigger word.
Maybe. Or like a trigger phrase.
Yeah, like a trigger phrase. And then like they had a messenger, like DNA hidden in someone, just so they could take away more hope from them. And like they said, as what do I want to say, as what's the word he used? I just can't, appropriate, I guess, that of all people, Lord Genome's daughter was the one that ended up getting the secret code DNA in her. She's not even human anymore. Like, come on, man.
Honestly, like, something else I like about, or I'm noticing more about how Simone is written. They handle his depression in a great way. Like, I think what most people don't understand about depression is that it isn't just constant sadness. There's like there's levels.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And even when you have like the highest status or like you have like all the power in the world, that's not gonna like cure your depression.
Nope.
It just means you have stuff, you have status, you have everything that you think you'd want, except Simone doesn't want any of that. He just wants to be with the love of his life.
He does. And I love so much when they go to visit. Oh, I always forget their names. The mechanic family, because you barely ever get to see them, but you get to see them. He goes to go visit them. He's just looking for Nia, and like they walk away. As soon as he leaves, he's like, "We're not worried about Nia, dude. We're worried about you." Like they read right through that.
That's what I'm talking about. Like,
yep.
Where like you could even put on your bravest face,
yep.
and like the people that you know will know when you're not okay.
Yep. It's I will you people in these reviews are going to get damn sick of me saying this, but everything about every way that they have the show written, especially Simone, he's my favorite anime antagonist ever, because this dude, like his depression is the same way I get. Like I could be the happiest person on the planet. It does not take much, and that's going to shatter. And you have to work your ways around it. Depression sucks. I have dysthymia, and I'm pretty sure I talked. I don't know. You weren't on the first mental health.
I've been on both of them.
You were on it. Okay. For those of you people that don't know, it's called persistent depressive disorder now. It's basically you have a low hanging level of depression at all points, and it doesn't take much to spike it or for whatever. It's very much highs and lows. And I wouldn't quite say that Simone is that far. He handles it a lot better than most people, but he's got very obvious tells. And when he's being acting more and more like Kamina at points, that is when you can tell that he's starting to break a little. Like the moment where he went out of his way to be super cheery, to like give the catchphrases and point the fingers and stuff like that at the kids. That's the moments where you're kind of like, you're not okay. Because Simone, most of the time when he has his, unless he's doing the big time hero speeches, he's pretty plain in how he talks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But
yeah, the more I watch this show, the more I really start to appreciate like the more I appreciate just how well he's written and how relatable he can be.
Yeah, and like you're one of the people that got it the most. It's hard to explain that like a person's character development, they roped one of the coolest characters in anime into the show just to die 8 episodes in for a different character's character development. They're that invested in him that they came up with the coolest dude ever just to be like, Simone was the reason that dude was cool. And I'm like, what? I love it so much. But yeah, also one thing that we forgot to mention in the last episode as well. It's a really small detail, but Dayaka and Keel's baby was the millionth baby. I thought that was kind of a cool detail, that Team Gurren was the one that birthed the millionth baby.
Yeah. I mean, in the spirit of the show's intense escalation, like it should have been obvious that that was going to be the millionth baby.
Yeah. And yeah. You were very right about how this one was going to be pretty dry, because it's like we've pretty much covered the entire episode outside of the fight. And all we really got from the fight is that they're called Mugans, and we know how to deal with 2 of them. You watched the intro.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I'm gonna say. That's all I'm gonna say. We'll leave it right there. It is so damn hard to stay in the episodes that we're in. It's so damn hard. But they also, one thing that they're very clear about with these episodes is that they're insistent on having cliffhangers every single episode.
Yep. It's almost as if they knew, like, they could see the future and like they knew that this show would be binged on Netflix.
Yeah, pretty much. They're just like, we're gonna make sure you want to watch that next one. And the subtle touches, like the to be continueds, and the there's no longer this is the man whose destiny is whatever. Now we're just hearing from the characters. And also, like, we don't have the scratchy scribble kanji for the titles anymore. It's all professional.
Yep.
And it's just little touches like that when I rewatch through, it's just like they're very much trying to show you now that, like, it's not the parody show anymore. This is the show. We set up everything. We're giving you what we wanted to give you now, and we set up.
Another show I could compare this to. I could compare this to a lot of shows, but one in particular is like, okay, yeah, Gravity Falls is a good example, because the first season, like, it does set up, like, the mystery of that town.
That's the one that's kind of like Twin Peaks, right?
Yeah, it's like
Okay.
Twin Peaks meets SpongeBob in terms of tone.
I heard a lot of good things about it.
But like the first season remains like pretty light. Like it's kind of like Monster of the Week.
Okay.
But season 2 is when things get heavier. It's still funny, like it still has a levity, but they kind of designed season 1 to like ease you into the heavier stuff, and I feel like Gurren Lagann has done the same thing.
Yeah, it's like I said, we've had maybe in the past about hour that we've watched out of the show, we've had maybe 10 minutes of levity. We went, like you said, straight out of Gurren into Neon Genesis levels of the world sucks.
Mm-hmm.
Which, one quick note about Neon Genesis. That show, I think, has the most ill-fitting intro theme I've ever heard for a show.
I agree.
It's
I love the intro, but by no means does it fit.
No, like, if you listen to the translated lyrics, like, they fit, but it's all high energy and trumpets, and we're marching down the street having a good time, and then it's just like, everyone's dead. Okay, I'm having a mental breakdown. Why am I getting SpongeBob for the intro and I'm getting it for the show? Like, but we're getting a little out of hand. But we're starting to learn a little bit of what the anti-spiral forces are. We get like an identification for the first one, which is the Mugan. They're so weird. They're literal.
They look like just like satellites.
They look like satellites. They're so, exactly what I want to say. They're so weird, weakly put together that if they don't have their energy shield, they just fall apart and explode.
Yeah, they're very flaky in terms of their composition.
Glass cannon would be a very good way to put it, but most glass cannons don't molecularly decompose into explosives afterwards. It's very much the thing that is designed to not be fought by Simone, can only be fought by Simone type of thing. And you're gonna, I'm going to shut up. I'm going to just shut up because I'm saying too much. I'm just going to shut up. The anti-spirals are very smart. I'll just put it that way. They're very smart.
Okay. But let's get back to Rossio, because yes. I want to end this review with how the episode ends.
Yep. Well, don't worry. We weren't getting away without talking about that.
So remember how I said, like, Rossio cares about the human race, but only on a surface level? Yep. Well, the human race also only cares about the human race on a surface level. Because we talked about before how during times of peace, they were, well, at least the ones who wanted to live above ground, you know, they were content, but they also complained about everything. Yep. Now that there's like actual something to complain about, you know, the destruction of their homes, a giant satellite coming to destroy everyone. Like, now it feels like the population of Earth has become like it's starting to feel like this is a content warning for the Holocaust. It reminds me a lot of like just a mass of people losing their faith in God. Yep. And God is obviously Gurren Lagann.
Yep. It's Simone, their savior, and everybody else, and it's gonna get worse. And it's just like, you have to imagine being a population of people that 7 years ago, you all lived underground, some not even knowing how they're being suppressed. You have the best life you could ever hope for. And now you just got told the moon is going to kill the Earth in 3 weeks. Like, imagine now. You and me live pretty bog standard lives. We're not rich. We're not living the high life, but we're living lives that we're okay with and we're happy living and we're having a good time. How would you react if someone told you that the moon was just going to kill the Earth in 3 weeks?
That would be pretty life-shattering.
And now think, in this moment, would you go, I want to go blame somebody, I hate Simone because he was trying to defend us, or would you go, we should try and solve how to not make the moon hit the Earth in 3 weeks? Instantly, 95% of them went, we hate Simone. Like, the moon is going to kill you in 3 weeks. You're so obsessed with your lives that you're like, this is all your fault. You literally just heard from their messenger that it's not all his fault. The fact that we all grew up to 1 million people so fast is the reason. Give or take, Simone gave you the opportunity to do it, but that's how fast, like you said, people lose faith that fast. And I don't mean to be Mr. Doom and Gloom here, but how some people are nowadays, it's not far off. Like, you weren't a part of the Last of Us spoiler cast that we did, because that was the first thing I actually ever did for Renegade Pop Culture. But people talked about how people got mad at the game because they were like, we don't think people would pick sides so easily if the world went to shit. I'm like,
that's exactly what people would do.
Right now, people at the beginning of our quarantine marched state capitals with rifles because they couldn't get haircuts.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, you're watching this show, and there's points where I'm like, that's an anime, that wouldn't happen. And I'm like, I live in a state where our capital was occupied because people couldn't get out of their houses to go drink at a bar.
We apologize if these next couple of reviews are getting political, but blame the show. Don't blame us.
Don't blame us. We're just. Go ahead.
The politics talk is kind of like the show is drawing that out of us.
It is, and we're gonna try and keep it.
But that's a good thing, because that means like the show is talking about real issues while also being fighting robots.
Exactly. That's what I've been saying that a lot as well, where this and Darling in the Franxx and Neon Genesis, basically anything with mechs that ever has to do with Trigger. I have not seen SSSS Gridman, so I can't comment on that one. But they very much go, here's a point we want to drive across, but people also like seeing mechs fight. So our point that we couldn't get across while people wanting to watch it with two people in the room talking to each other, we're going to slap mechs on top of it so that they stay with us through the whole thing. That's pretty much what the show is. So it's like you said, politics, but you got the booms going on as well. And like you said, bear with us. We're going to try and only talk about what we need to talk about. And it will not last forever. I will let you know we will get back to the good stuff. But for a while, they're very much making a point to show why the anti-spiral is... all good villains think they're doing the right thing.
You know, when
enough.
When Lord Genome like described the anti-spiral, am I the only one whose first thought was the anti-life equation?
You're not alone. You're really not alone.
And now, Darkseid is a DC Comics character who was created in the 70s. This show came out in 2007. So if there's any correlation, coincidence, sure, but you know, like anime creators like more than just anime.
They do. And that is a very good thing if you're going to draw inspiration from anybody for a villain. Darkseid is pretty high up there for a person that you could base someone off of. And I'm not saying he based off anybody, but the anti-life equation is very much a very good comparison to bring in at this point. And we'll get more into that. Man, these are going to be long episodes. The last one just cracked over an hour. We're almost hitting 40 minutes in this one. And we basically just talked about what Lord Genome and Nia talked about. Oh, man. But
so to put a bow on this episode, Simo gets arrested. There's no way to beat around the bush.
Yeah, and we should before we put just talking about what leads up to his arrest. There's a very great poignant moment. Rossio comes out with a bunch of guards fully loaded for bear to just protect him so we could talk to the people. Like, those guys are all going to shoot at us. No, we're not. And then a single pebble hits Rossio in the head. And then for a solid 10 frames, there's just silence and a pebble. And Rossio goes right over. It was just like, no, we need to leave. And then Keenon knows exactly what he's going to do without him even saying it. They need to have someone to blame. Otherwise, they're going to go out of control. And I'm not going to have them blame me. He does not say that.
But we all know it.
But we all know he's like, I'm going to save everybody. It's not going to be him. Because this entire time, everybody said I wasn't right. Basically, in the show, they didn't outright ever tell him he was wrong. But he did everything Simone and Common his way before. And now it's time for him to do things he wants to. And, like, Gimme and Dari, who are two people that I really grow to love the more this show goes on, are both just like, Are you serious? You're arresting him? But like there are people that get drawn in the middle. Like Gimme especially was kind of like, dude, please, you're my hero. Listen to them. I don't want you doing something wrong. Please. And just he got his worst nightmare. Simone's getting arrested and being blamed for everything. Is that something you expected to see when this season started?
Nope.
No, exactly. Oh, yeah. And I have a good feeling, and I would not say no if you said yes. But if I'm thinking I know what happens in this next episode, if you message me and go, hey, tonight, do you feel like doing 4? I wouldn't say no. So I'll just put that as it is. Mike, where can they reach you?
You guys can find me on Twitter and Instagram at CaptainK42. Check out my quick thought reviews on letterboxd.com/CoachK42. Find me in all the various Facebook film groups at my name. Check out Renegade Pop Culture on Facebook and on Twitter at Ren Pop Culture. Check out all of the Renegade Pop Culture podcasts on Anchor, Spotify, Stitcher, Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen. Last but not least, don't forget to check out renegadepopculture.com. Need an escape? So do we. And boy, this week, do we need an escape.
Yeah, this week is going to be heavy. Let's just be glad I get to watch and review through my favorite show to kind of just keep my head out of everything. For time context, everybody, it goes down tomorrow in the US. So good luck, United States. That's all I gotta say. Oh, you can find me at Organoid Zero, Twitch, everywhere else, and on this YouTube channel and on Renegade Pop Culture Podcast. We got a bunch of cool stuff coming up that I'm super excited about from everybody. A lot of cool stuff happening there. Kiona's awesome. I have to say that. That's something that I do not say enough. The dude is absolutely awesome. People go check out all the stuff, the great stuff that he does for us. He's great in interviews. He's been organizing all this stuff. He's our head coach and our fearless leader, and I love that dude to death. So show Kiona love when you can. The dude's amazing. All right, everybody. Spin on. I love you, and we will see you in the next one.
Peace.